Hey guys, it is me, Jacqueline. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if this is your first time here. For today's video, I have a book review, and before we get too far into this book review, I have to say, I am yet again sorry for being MIA. My memory card is actually severely broken, and I've been waiting for this one to specifically come in for literally days, and it finally came in so I can film again. And as you can see, I am doing a review video. I'm really excited to do this review video just because this book I absolutely loved. It's not only probably one of my favorite books I've read this year, top one, but also one of my favorite books I've read in a really long time because I just loved it that much, and I'm really excited to be talking about it. It will be a non-spoilery book review video just because I want to really rave about this book and I want to recommend this book. I feel like not enough people have read it yet, and I feel like so many people would love it just like me. The book I will be talking about for today's video is Bring Me Their Heart, and this is from Sara. I am so excited to be talking about this. I was sent this book in exchange for an honest review from the publishers, so I do have to just quickly thank them so incredibly much for sending this ARC my way. But in all reality, everything I'm saying is utterly my opinion. I really did thoroughly love this book, and I really can't wait to talk about it with you guys. So what exactly is this book all about? Bring Me Their Hearts is a YA fantasy novel. It actually involves a girl named Sara who is a heartless. So what exactly is a heartless? A heartless is literally a human that doesn't have their heart, so they are almost in a state of not living. I like to describe heartless as almost zombies in a way, but specifically heartless are actually bound to the witches that took their hearts. So Sara is bound to the witch, the night singer, and she is the one that actually took Sara's heart. Sara is actually given the opportunity to get her heart back from the night singer if she goes to the castle and actually steals the prince's heart for the night singer, and that commences the whole entire novel. I'm not going to really say a lot about this book. I really don't want to give a lot away just because once you really get into it and follow the story, look at this whole entire world through Sara's eyes, you really just fall head over heels for it because it's such an easy book to get into. The world is so unique. There's so many different factors I can rave about, which I'm going to, but that's all I'm going to say for the summary. I'm going to keep it very short and sweet. So the first thing I obviously have to talk about is the whole fantasy aspects. I was going to talk about the characters first, but I think really a whole focal point for me was the fantastical elements. We have new concepts, like I mentioned, the whole heartless aspect, which I absolutely loved. I loved really learning about that, and even with these fantastical elements, we get to learn a lot more about them. They don't just appear every once in a while. They're really a part of the story, and we really get to see a lot of background story with it and a lot of detail and history that involves all these different fantastical elements and creatures. Also, we have some more, I want to say, well-known fantastical elements or paranormal elements in this novel. For example, there are witches, but the way that Sara handles the witches aspects and makes it just utterly her own, I loved reading it. I loved yet again seeing how these witches were unique compared to other witches I have read in different YA or just any book in general. So I really did enjoy the whole fantasy aspect. It really just helped me want to learn more about this world and more about the characters and all that stuff, just because there was these unique factors and there were factors I've heard of, but the way that she handled them were just really different, and I wanted to learn everything about them. So I really enjoyed that. Also, the plot itself was so amazing. It had me on the edge of my feet. The end of this book literally killed me. I was expecting a few things here and then, and I did sort of predict a little bit some stuff. I'm not going to spoil it yet again. If you guys want to talk to me, we can talk in the comments. But seriously, when I say this whole plot really just drove me to want to finish this book like that. It had me instantly the moment I started it, and I didn't want to stop reading it because I had it constantly on my mind, wanting to know what was going to happen next, thinking about Sara as a character, thinking about what was happening in the book and what could happen. It was just unreal, and I hadn't really felt that excited about a plot in a really long time because there were a lot of subplots, and then everything came together, and it was just so cool. I really did enjoy it. Next, I have to talk about the characters because you guys know characters are really important to me. I'm not going to go too in depth like names or anything like that, but all in all, so many characters really stood out to me. I loved just learning about the different ones and seeing what made certain characters so unique compared to others. All of the characters, even secondary and even characters that you saw every once in a while, felt so real. They had just such a roundness to them. They really flew off the page. And I have to talk about Sara because she is such an amazing female character. She's probably one of my favorite female characters in a really long time. I love to really see this world through her eyes and her ears and really get to hear her thoughts in a way and see how she handled everything. Situation to situation, she just, I don't know, not that she knew what to do, but she just has such a confidence to her, and even the people that would meet her would say just she is just who she is, and she's very unique compared to a lot of characters that we end up meeting in this world. And I don't know, just her interactions with everyone, yet again seeing her subconscious. There are very specific subconscious thoughts that have to go with her being a Heartless. That whole factor I wasn't expecting but absolutely loved. Like, there were just moments that I felt for her. There were moments that she actually cracked me up because she was so funny and witty. Like, I just love Sara as a character so incredibly much. I really love seeing her growth and how she developed a lot throughout the story, especially when it came to the plot and so much that had to do with this world and what she went through. I don't know. It was just such a fun ride for me. Like, every page, every turn, I couldn't wait to see what was going to happen next because all of those factors were just checked for me. The characters, the plot, the fantastical elements, like, there was nothing really bad about this book. And I don't want to say it's a perfect book, but seriously, like, it's almost perfect for me. It is definitely a 5-star book. Like, I can't say enough good things. Moving on to the writing, which I have to say was beautiful, of course, but I mean, besides the whole plot and that structure, the actual words itself, I really loved the way that she could just easily paint this picture and this story in my head, and how easily I felt connected to these characters because she just really roped me in, and I just didn't want to let go of this story. I'm really excited to see more from this author. The funniest thing is the fact that before I started this book, I actually read her other book and her most popular book, Lovely Vicious. Lovely Vicious, I believe, is just a YA contemporary. It could be a new adult, but I believe it's just a YA contemporary book. It's actually a series. I read the first book and I didn't necessarily like it. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. In all reality, that really wasn't a story for me, and I felt a little bit nervous before starting this book after reading that book. But it comes to show that even though these are both from the same author, this is probably one of my favorite books I have read ever or in a really long time, while that book, I would say Lovely Vicious, isn't for me. So it really comes to show that an author can write so differently depending on the genre and depending on the time span, because although that isn't her most recent book like this one is, it just shows how much that she changed, and I loved getting to see that growth between the 2 books I had read. I will definitely be continuing on with this series before I actually wrap everything up. Another factor in this book that I was not expecting at all was there's a whole political aspect involved. There is a royalty aspect as well, but the way that that was handled and showed was so amazing. I feel like a lot of books have a lot of royalty in them nowadays, like new books that are coming out. There's a lot of princes and princesses, but this one specifically with the plot and the characters themselves, was so unique for me. Yet again, not necessarily a unique concept, but the way that she handled it was unique, and I loved getting to see that. I definitely was not expecting the whole political aspect to come into play. I love reading books that really have that sort of political drive to them. For example, the Winner series, one of my favorite series, that has a lot of politicals aspects a part of it. I keep saying that word, but I don't really know what else to describe it without spoiling it. But basically, it's just so tense, and you really get to see Sara follow the world with the fantastical elements and this plot and the characters, and I loved every single moment of it. I cannot wait for the sequel. Yet again, the ending definitely left me wanting more. I would highly recommend this book if you haven't checked it out already. I feel like not enough people have read this book, but it is utterly just one of my favorites. I feel like it just ticked so many boxes for me, and it really does have so much in such a little book, and I just can't wait to see what else comes about from this series and this author. If you have read this book, let me know what you thought of it, and also let me know what you thought of my book review. And if you haven't read this book, I hope you do check it out because it is definitely one of my favorites. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!